comment, or question. Lastly, today's session is being recorded and live streamed on Facebook. So to those joining us via Facebook, hello, thank you for joining us. To officially start today's session, may I call on MBC's Executive Director, Coco Alcoaz. Coco?
Thanks very much, Tricia. Can you hear me?
Yes, all good.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second session of the Philippine-Israel Tech and Innovation Series, where we showcase leading technology from Israel to bring innovation and accelerated growth and more jobs to our agriculture, transportation, and environmental sectors. This series is done in partnership with our friends from the Embassy of Israel in the Philippines. Israel, known as the startup nation, is home to many world-changing technologies. A few weeks ago, we featured how Israel used technology to address challenges faced by their farmers. Today, we're going to focus on tech solutions for climate change, waste management, and renewable energy. A timely discussion as we just wrapped up National Zero Waste Month in January. I wonder how many of you know that last month was National Zero Waste Month. Sustainability is a key advocacy for MBC, which we promote through our projects on circular economy, ESG, and biking. Like everyone tuning in, we are just as excited to learn more about Israel's innovative solutions to help us meet net zero emissions. To kickstart our session, we are pleased to be joined by Israel Ambassador to the Philippines, His Excellency Ambassador Ilan Flus. In an article he wrote for the Inquirer, Ambassador Flus shared that the development of sustainable and environmentally friendly cooperation between the Philippines and Israel is one of his main goals. We are grateful to use this platform to push that goal further. With that, I am very pleased to invite full-time ambassador and part-time marathon runner, Ilan Flus, for brief welcome remarks and introduction of today's speakers. Ambassador?
Thank you very much, Coco. And let me first of all say thank you very much for this partnership and friendship between the Embassy and Makati Business Club. And I'm really looking forward for another interesting meeting this afternoon. So, magandang apong sa inyong lahat, to my Israeli friends, good afternoon to everyone. I welcome you to the second of our three-part session on showcasing Israeli technologies and innovation together with Makati Business Club. Some of you are joining us in the first session, so welcome back. And some of you might be aware of some of my messages. And welcome to our new participants. Let me re-emphasize the friendly and close relations between Israel and the Philippines, which go way back to 1938 with the open door policy of then President Manuel Quezon, who was accepted 1,300 Jewish refugees who were fleeing from Nazi Germany. This was 1938. And the relations, so before the establishment of the State of Israel, the relations were enhanced when Philippines was the only country in Asia to support the establishment of the State of Israel in a vote at the United Nations in 1947. For those reasons, Israel values the friendship between our two countries. And as a result, we also adopted an open door policy. So walang visa for Filipinos to enter the State of Israel. In cases of natural disasters, we stand by the Philippines. If it is during Typhoon Yolanda 2013, Israel was one of the first countries to reach out to the Philippines and send over 148-member delegation mission of the Israeli Defense Forces for search and rescue operations, relief, and also establishment of a field hospital that treated more than 2,800 victims of this typhoon. And Typhoon Odette 2021, we donated, and personally, we handed over relief goods and technologies, also solar energy and water treatment in Cebu, in Bohol, in Siargao. So our bilateral relations have gone back a long way from cultural, development, defense, and economic. Although I believe Israel is yet to fully utilize the opportunities from this wonderful country, and the Philippines can utilize a lot from the Israeli technologies, I'm pleased to say that many are recognizing what our two countries have to offer to each other. During the height of the pandemic, the embassy expanded and opened 2 new missions, our defense mission for the Defense Corporation and our economic mission. The head of the economic mission, Mr. Tomer Havey, is joining us today, and he and his team are readily available to connect you to Israeli private sector and to assist in any opportunities between our two countries. Israel became known as the land of innovation by seeing challenges as opportunities. From a desert country with limited access to water and land, we turned Israel to a leader in agriculture and water technologies. The same for our defense, having been situated with countries we have no friendly relations with. We had to be resourceful in producing the best technologies to protect ourselves. So in short, we developed technologies and practices for our own survival. And what we have achieved on scaling up our technologies and innovation, we do our best to share it to the world. So for today's session, we're going to talk about energy, biogas, and sustainability. Israel, until a few years ago, had no sources of energy. So a lot of innovation in Israel on issues of clean energy and creating new sources of energy. You'll be introduced today to the movers of a greener and safer world. Israel has a strong advocacy for climate change and sustainability, believing how drastic the impacts will be to the world and to the people if we do not take care of the environment. HomeBiogas will later show how they turn waste into clean gas and biofertilizer and energy that can be used in ordinary homes or even in schools and businesses. I'm personally following this company, and I'm very happy to see Yair and Lior here since actually its early stages as a very young company, and I'm so happy to see how they became today a leader in this field and active in so many countries. It's time they enter into the Philippine market, and today is the opportunity. EcoWave Power produces clean electricity from ocean and sea waves in a very unique technology. They are leaders in this field. This is so relevant to the Philippines being an island country. The potential and needs are both huge. So this session has a special message of environmental protection and sustainability. We as human beings have to do more on that. We have to ensure the quality of living of each individual and every species for now, but also for the future generations. Lastly, we're grateful, and I want again to thank yourself, Coco, and Makati Business Club and your team for this partnership in showcasing Israeli leading technologies that are very relevant for the Philippines. We hope to see you in our last session, obviously, and our online B2B event later in 2 weeks' time. And with those words, maraming salamat po, toda raba, and shalom.
All right, thank you very much, Ambassador Flus, and we're very grateful for the Israel's partnership, not only on sustainability, but among many other advocacy pillars as well. With that, I'd like to turn the program over to Yair Teller of HomeBiogas for his brief tech demo. Yair?
Hi. First of all, I want to say thank you for inviting us, me and Lior. Mr. Lior Magal is leading business development in Southeast Asia. Thank you, Ilan, Mr. Ilan Flus, Ambassador, for a long time friendship and the Makati business a partnership that you have. And thank you for all this great meeting that we have today. HomeBiogas, the vision of HomeBiogas is to make biogas technology affordable and available to all. We are a company that is working now more than 12 years. And I think let's start the presentation and we'll have questions in the end. So I'll share now. Okay. So as we see, HomeBiogas is we actually come to make waste matter. So these are my children. These are my children, Emma and mine, when they were young. And between them, you see that beautiful blue flame? That is actually biogas. It's a renewable energy. Now they grew up for many years. And as you see, mine on the left is peeling a potato for dinner. And Emma on the right is cooking an egg. And all of that is actually, we transform in there. They grew up knowing that the waste that we have in our kitchen is transformed to renewable energy and we cook on it. This is the reality that my children grew up in the last 10 years in their house. And what's left over from the waste is liquid fertilizer from the garden. So in my house, in the last 10 years, we upcycled, we transformed 10 tons of organic waste. We produced out of it 6,000 hours of cooking, 24,000 liters of biofertilizer, and we saved for the environment more than 60 tons of greenhouse gas emission equivalent. Now, this is an impact, but now think about it that we multiply it over 6 continents, more than 100 countries, and tens of thousands of clients that we have today. HomeBiogas today is across the world. So imagine this impact, and this impact from our economic and social and environmental impact from our ESG of 2021, we saved more than 124,000 trees, but from being cut down for cooking. We saved more than 76,000 tons of CO2, producing more than 15 million hours of cooking gas, transforming more than 5,000 tons of food waste and much more animal waste, saving biotechnology more than 8 million liters of water, and have our systems in more than 200 schools and education centers. This is 2021. This year, we more than doubled it, our impact. And in schools, we are more than 1,000 schools only in this year. So we have tens of thousands of systems across the globe with a very big impact that, of course, we will be happy to share with you. What are the challenges that we see that our system can actually work with? So the challenges in the world today is, of course, there's a surge of the cost of energy, LPG, and of course, today also with the corona that was COVID, we see that also transportation is something that is not easy all the time, and you need to be more reliable on yourself and more resilient. More than 3 billion people worldwide still cook on wood and charcoal. They cause deforestation, but worse than that, more than 4 million women and children die each year from indoor air pollution because of the harmful gases that come out from the fireplace, from the smoke. So children and women die from this smoke, from cooking. The cost of fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, jumped more than 3 times because of the lack of nitrogen, because of the war in Russia and Ukraine, because of the cost of transportation, and fertilizer cost went up, then food cost went up. And of course, the lack of untreated organic waste. We have a lot of untreated organic waste. It's hard to do municipal management of waste management, and for sure the organic waste management that needs special treatment. And if we don't treat it, it contaminates our air, our water, and our earth. So how do we help solve all these problems? through our innovation that I'll explain now. But what HomeBiogas is bringing to the world is what our innovation is. Our innovation is to bring a product, as I said, that will be easy to install all over the world, less than 2 hours to install it, will be reliable, will be accessible, and will be affordable all over the world. How did this magic work? So the biogas system, you throw the waste inside to the digester. In a natural process, anaerobic fermentation process, it transforms organic waste into biogas, natural gas. This is a natural process that we tap into. What comes out is two things. One, cooking gas for cook, for energy. And the other one is liquid fertilizer, great liquid fertilizer for agriculture. So we transform the waste that we have in our houses, in our farms. We upcycle it into gas and liquid fertilizer. This way, we move from a linear economy to a circular economy. And this is very, very important. Today we treat and we have solutions. As I said, our vision is to transform the world of waste. We see waste as a resource that can better our lives today and our planet tomorrow. Our technology treats households, farms, schools, and businesses. For farmers, we see this is a research that we have in Kenya, okay? In farmers that we see the production of corn has increased in 30%, while the use of chemical fertilizer was decreased by 50%. That's that's equal to increasing income, of course. So in Kenya, we have thousands of systems deployed already. This technology actually provides a national infrastructure at the household level. It's a waste management infrastructure. It's an energy producing infrastructure. It's a sanitation infrastructure and a fertilizer production infrastructure. This is a national level infrastructure technology when deployed in national levels. And of course, it helps the economy. In the household, as we see, we get clean cooking gas. This is in Nepal. We get clean cooking gas instead of cutting down the trees and cooking on wood or fire, or like in my house, instead of just cooking on LPG, because LPG is also a fossil fuel that contaminates our environment. So why not use renewable energy, renewable gas? For homes, we also have a special solution of a toilet, special toilet that has a small pump. And what does this do? This is an off-grid solution. That means we don't need to be connected to the water supply. This special toilet knows how to pump in water and pump out water into our system. It's very, very efficient. So it uses only 1 liter per flush instead of 9 liters per flush. And then it's being treated. The only difference is that in the end, we don't use this liquid, of course, for agricultural. We produce gas for cooking, but we don't use the liquid for agriculture. We, after treatment, let it be treated underneath. After it's treated in the biogas system, it goes into underneath the grass to a secondary ground, into a secondary treatment. But what this solution gives, is a sanitation solution, and reducing, of course, the need for a water supply. I just came now, and last but not least, of course, we develop, and this is very important, Faf, education solutions. We have systems across the world, thousands of systems in schools. Today, I just came back last week from a project in El Salvador. We're deploying systems, 1,500 systems in 800 schools in El Salvador for the sanitation, for the toilet solution, and also for the food waste. We have hundreds of systems in schools in Brazil, in Israel, in Kenya, in Cameroon. What does this provide? A few things. One, it provides, of course, renewable energy, waste management, and sanitation solution. And last but not least, of course, it also provides education, because the children grow up while they know what's renewable, and hands-on education that they see transforming of waste, environment, chemistry, physics, biology, everything in front of their eyes. And this is amazing. So we're educating the future generations. How we operate. We also operate with national distributors. We have in different countries, of course, across the world. We work with governments and aid organizations like the USAID, European Union, WWF, Red Cross, etc. We also sell just online. That means direct sale today to, let's say, United States, to Europe, to Australia. And we also do CSR projects with NGOs and foundations, like Adani Foundation in India and other big foundations across the world. In the last year, we have a global collaboration partnership and awards. We won the World Sustainability Award in year 2022. We got the award from the IFC International Finance Corporation Bank and the Financial Times as one of the leading companies in the world that will change the future, and more awards and our good work. We also, in this last year, we did 3 projects with the United Nations in Africa. Now we're deploying another big project with the UNDP in Rwanda of more than 500 units. So to summarize it, we work also with, as I said, with companies, with governments, with the United Nations. We collaborate for the benefit of our children, of course, and the next generation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Yair, for that insightful presentation from HomeBiogas. I personally am now considering a lifestyle change in our household kitchen, so that was really nice to learn how your application works. So we will now have a quick break and take a pause for any initial questions or comments that the audience might have for Yair and HomeBiogas. I see that there are some questions in the chat, but that has been addressed by Yair. If there are no further questions, we can proceed to the next presentation, and we'll take all questions later. Going once, going twice. All right, okay, so with that, we'll now proceed. Yes?
If I just note, I see some people are reaching out on the chat.
Yes.
So I just put my email, Lior@HomeBiogas, for people that will be interested maybe later on to talk further. We can answer some questions in the Q&A, but also my email is there if anyone wants to reach out afterwards for deeper conversation, and we are open to discuss. So my email is there. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Lior. For anyone interested, please do reach out to the email that's listed in the chat. For now, We will proceed to our next presentation. I'd like to invite EcoWave Power's Jane Raisin to present her brief tech demo with everyone. Jane, over to you.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting us. And thank you, Yair, for presentation. It was very interesting to learn about the technology, very inspiring. I will share my screen. Do you see my screen now? You can see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can, Jane.
Yes, yes.
So our technology, EcoWave Power, I'm happy to present it for you today. So I will start with a brief speech about wave energy in general. So wave energy. Wave energy is an amazing renewable energy source. It can produce energy 24/7 as opposed to, for example, solar energy, which is also an amazing source, but can only operate during sunlight
Hi,
hours.
Jane. Sorry to cut you off. Your screen right now is not on full screen. It's like a notes mode. So maybe just
Like this, better?
yes, that's better. Thank you so much.
Sure. Also, the density of water is more than 800 times higher than density of air, which means that we can produce much more electricity amounts with the smaller and cheaper devices. Also, more than 40% of world's population live within 100 kilometers from the coast, which means that from like ocean or sea coast, which means that we can save installation costs and transmission costs with our technology and deliver energy straight to people. And according to World Energy Council, it was estimated that wave energy can produce twice the amount of electricity that the world produces now. So it's really a very vast source of electricity. So you might have a question why, if wave energy is so great, we can see it everywhere because we can see solar farms, we can see wind farms, but we don't see a lot of wave energy. So the answer is lying in the picture here. Most of wave energy developers, they go offshore, which means that for installation of their system, they need underwater mooring, like cables and divers, ships. It's very expensive, which makes it hard to develop the technologies and to get funding. And when the wave energy stations are offshore, the waves are very high there, which means that the technology are not so reliable. And thus they're mostly not like insurable companies that don't want to insure them. Also, environmentalists are supposed to be the greatest supporters of such technologies, but they actually don't approve them as they connect to the ocean floor and it disturbs marine environment. So what you can see in the picture is EcoWave Power. What you can see in the water are the floaters. This is the only thing that is in the water in our technology, and all the expensive machinery is located on land just as a regular power station. So how does the technology work? We attach the floaters to existing man-made structures such as piers, breakwaters, jetties. The floaters go up and down with the movement of the waves. They push hydraulic cylinders, which transmit biodegradable fluid into land-located accumulators. In these accumulators, the pressure is being built. The higher the waves, the higher the pressure. And this pressure is used to turn hydromotor, which then rotates the generator. And electricity can be sent to the grid directly via an inverter. So here you can see some photos from our installation and grid connection process in Gibraltar. We had a power station there for 6 years. So as you can see, everything is done from land. It's not, we don't need any divers, ships, offshore wave technologies. Here you can see our wave power station in Gibraltar. So you can see that the floaters are attached directly to marine structure. Here we have two advantages, like that most of renewable energy sources, a lot of them need space. For example, a solar, wind, they need space, and we use such structures that are not like prime real estate. no one is going to build a hotel on the breakwater. So it saves costs in development. And also ports usually have big structures, and ports are very high consumers of electricity, and they're also not environmentally friendly usually. So ports are one of our like primary customers, and usually as they're big consumers, they have a substation, which makes our like grid connection is usually very close, as opposed to, again, for example, offshore wave technologies. So as I mentioned, our technology is 100% environmentally friendly. We do not connect to the ocean floor. We connect only to existing man-made structures, so environmentalists support us. Also, our technology is cost efficient. For example, in one of my previous slides, I showed the photo of another technology, Pelamis. It costed $150 million in development costs. And our power station in Gibraltar, the same scale, 100 kilowatt of installed capacity, costed us only $450,000. So it's a huge breakthrough. And as you can see in the video below, our technology is reliable because when the waves are too high for the system to handle, for example, like storm, the floaters automatically rise above the water level, and they stay in this upward lock position until the storm passes. And once the storm passes, floaters go back to water automatically and they resume operation. And so our technology, because of this, is insurable by reputable insurance companies. So we have 17 patents and patents pending, 12 are approved, other are pending, including patents in Israel, Europe, United States, and international PCT. So here are some of our like milestones. The company was established in 2011, and in 2014 we installed our first pilot in Jaffa port. It was not off-grid, not grid connected. In 2016, we deployed our first power station in Gibraltar, first power station which was grid connected, 100 kilowatt of installed capacity. In 2019, we went public on Nasdaq Stockholm as a stepping stone to going public on Nasdaq US in 2021. In 2020, we secured our first commercial scale concession agreement in Portugal. It's 20 megawatt project. And in 2021, we secured licensing for the first megawatt of this project. And last year, we had also several new concession agreements, including a concession agreement in Spain for 2 megawatts in Port Adriano, 77 megawatt agreement in Turkey. It's a very huge deal for us. We're very happy about it. It will be the biggest wave project. And also we are focusing on finalizing our projects here in Israel in Jaffa port. We have our power station ready to start operating in Jaffa port, 100 kilowatt of installed capacity. And also we are looking forward to opening our project in Alta Sea in Port of Los Angeles. So these are the projects we are working on now. Here you can see an illustration of a commercial scale project, how it can look like. It's in Portugal, which we are like working on and planning to build. So generally we have 4.7 megawatts in our project pipeline, including projects in Europe, Asia, Oceania, South America, North America, all over the world. So to summarize a little bit about technology, why EcoWave Power is a leader in wave energy now. So we, as opposed to most of our competitors, we have a real operational experience. Our power station in Gibraltar had been operational for 6 years. And we are finalizing our station in Jaffa port. And International Renewable Energy Agency says that point absorbers, which is our type of technology, will dominate wave energy market in the future. And also we have several strong strategic partnerships, including partnerships with EDF, Meridian Energy in Australia, and Alta Sea in Port of Los Angeles. And I would like to finalize my presentation by saying that we do believe in wave energy. We're strong proponents, but we believe that the answer to the world's problems is lying in combination of various renewable energy sources. That's why in the small photo, you can see that we actually, it's one of our recent patents, attach solar panels on the top of our floaters. So in the locations which are sunny, where it's suitable, the the top of the floaters is not used by anything because there is no expensive equipment, anything inside the floaters. We don't need access to the inside. That's why we can use this space for produce extra electricity amounts with the solar panels. So yeah, and we recognized by Solar Impulse Foundation, United Nations, European Commission, Sustainable Markets Initiative. Yeah, so this is my brief intro. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jane, for that presentation. I think, you know, geographically, the Philippines is cradled with opportunity and potential. Following your presentation, it's nice to see that we have that advantage and easy access to water sources. So exciting to see how we can use tech to sustainably tap that resource. So before we proceed to our open discussion, today we are also joined by an exceptional champion of renewable energy, Attorney Jay Layug. Attorney Jay is a senior partner at Puno Law, advising multiple companies in the Philippines and abroad on energy, infrastructure, and finance technology. But to Attorney Jay, renewable energy is more than investments. It's actually a critical pillar of nation building. As former Undersecretary of the Department of Energy, he spearheaded the 2011 National Renewable Energy Program, and under his leadership as chair of the National Renewable Energy Board in 2017 and in 2018, he led the drafting, completion, and endorsement of the various RE mechanisms and standards under the law to the Department of Energy, all in a record period of 6 months. Today, Attorney Jay is the president of the Developers of Renewable Energy for Advancement, also known as DREAM, a nonprofit association that serves as an umbrella organization for all groups representing different tech like biomass, geothermal, solar, hydro, ocean, and wind, similar to those that were discussed today. It's clear that Attorney Jay is no stranger to today's topic, and with that, we're pleased to invite him to give a very brief overview of the Philippines energy industry, and later in the program, lead our open discussion with our speakers and audience. Attorney Jay, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tricia. Of course, thank you to Makati Business Club. Good old friend, Coco. Good seeing you. And of course, Ambassador, Your Excellency, it's an honor for me to be here today. It's good to hear the two technologies, one from Flair on HomeBiogas and of course from Jane EcoWave. But I guess just to put in context, before we receive any questions from the audience, I'd like to show you where we are in the Philippines. I'm sure everyone wants to know what's going on, right? And just to give you a flavor of what's happening. While the Philippines is endowed with so much renewable energy resources, unfortunately, we have a problem. And that problem always is supply. The Philippines has a lot of sources of generation, and our electric power industry is divided into four sectors: the generation, distribution, transmission, and supply. So we've been able to privatize the entire sector, but let me just show you where we are in terms of power generation capacity. You will see here, and this is data from the DOE, that we have about 26,286 installed capacity of megawatts and dependable of about 23,410. Now, it seems like we have a lot of power available, right? But that's not really the case, because if you look at the mix, a lot of these 26,000 megawatts come from coal power plants, about 50% or even more. And unfortunately, our coal power plants have been operating for more than 20 years. That's why for the last 3 years, we have seen forced outages to around 2,000 to 3,000 megawatts, particularly during months of peak demand, during summer months. Now, in terms of renewables, we have about 29% of the total installed capacity coming from renewables. And majority, of course, comes from our hydro plants and geothermal plants. Now, there has been an uptick in the development of solar farms in the Philippines. And of course, wind and biomass are trying to catch up. Now, is the law in the Philippines working? The Electric Power Industry Reform Act, yes, because one, the government is no longer involved in power generation. Number two, we have so many power generators, and this is where Jane and all the other Israeli companies are very much welcome to come here to the Philippines and build more power plants because we need more power. Now, because of renewables, we have been able to drive down the prices in the spot market. However, we all know that coal prices and oil prices have gone up drastically for the last year. And therefore, the benefit of renewables, because there are not too many, have been eaten up by the expensive coal and diesel prices. So while we do have a lot of competition in the sector, we need to put in more renewable energy power plants in the Philippines. So once upon a time, government was involved in power generation, but now we have all these private sector participants. Not a problem. Now, why are prices of electricity high in the Philippines? Unfortunately, every summer months, we are short in supply. And we all know when in the basic principle of demand and supply, if you don't have supply, then your demand goes up and prices go up. Secondly, we have issues on transmission and distribution infrastructure. We have not been able to catch up. Our requirements for infrastructure with regard to the need for power plants to be developed. And of course, unlike Israel, which has a lot of energy resources, unfortunately, the Philippines do not produce enough coal, enough oil, and enough natural gas. In fact, as we all know, Malampaya will deplete by 2024, and the service contract ends in 2024. This is the data that I had showed you whenever electricity supply is less than demand, prices go up. And this has happened especially during the summer months of April, May, because it's very warm, very hot in the Philippines, and this is when coal plants usually break down. And that's been a problem. And look at this data, this profile of age of power plants in the Philippines. You will note here that we have about 6,000 megawatts here. 6,000 megawatts, the third and the fourth bar diagram, power plants that have been operating for at least 20 years. That's a lot of power plants that are very old. That's why they have been breaking down. So we have some issues. In fact, last summer, we had some issues. Luckily, the DOE told all power plants, do not go on maintenance because we need your power during the election time. And therefore, sometime September, October, that's when the power plants broke down. So we all know that the Philippines is hungry for power. The demand for the outlook for demand is there. We have a 4 to 6% average in demand for power. And therefore, we need about 43,000 megawatts of additional supply capacity by 2040. That's a lot of power plants to build in the next 20 years. That's why we need all of you investors to come here. And we can see that demand has been going up. Even during the time of pandemic, we were so surprised that the demand was actually high when everyone was just at home. But that, of course, is an issue for us. Now, how do we reduce electricity prices and address all our problems? Well, we need to add more power generation facilities. We need to add more renewable energy plants because the prices are more stable. And in fact, the cost of technology for renewables has gone down, unlike the previous years. We need to add more transmission lines, more distribution lines, and of course, more supply. So in essence, Philippines, as I mentioned, is endowed with a lot of biomass, geothermal, solar, hydro, ocean, and wind. Not a problem. We have all of those. The problem is we need investments in these power plants so that we can address the issue. The government has already said we will target 50% renewables by 2040. With this very ambitious goal, we hope that all the private sector participants will be here to participate and invest. Now, just a few more slides. You have seen over time for the last 10 years that once upon a time, our renewables were at 34%. But look at what happened after 10 years. We are now down to about 19%. And look at coal. Coal went up 54.6%. And we all know coal prices have gone up. That's why our prices in electricity have gone up as well. People are very much affected by the cost of power. So we have not been, we're lagging behind in terms of investments in renewables, and we hope, of course, more Israeli companies will come over and invest, not just in renewables, but also in oil and gas, because we need a lot of these. So this is where we are at this time, and let's open the floor now for questions.
Yes, thank you, Attorney Jay, for that quick overview. For anyone who has questions, comments for our speakers, please feel free to share them in the chat box and we'll get to them.
Yeah, maybe I can start off with the comment of Coco.
Yes.
He mentioned that we are going backward. That's absolutely spot on, Coco. When I was still in government, we had a very high renewable energy installed in the system, and we utilize a lot of that. 10 years later, we have gone the reverse. And we have more coal.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, we have more coal now. So we have an issue because coal prices went up.
So go back to government.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead. If there are any questions, please, Tricia.
Yeah, we do have a question coming in from the chat. Attorney, if you could see that.
Yes, a question from Jeroboam from AMG Kaizen. He asks whether we have an opportunity in hydrogen. Hydrogen, I understand, is a fairly new technology, right? It's not been introduced yet in the Philippines. We hope it will be, especially as we go for offshore wind, which we expect to go online maybe sometime in 2028, I understand. It can be mixed with hydrogen technology as well. And hopefully we tap into it. But right now, it's not yet here.
Right.
I have a question for Jane.
Sure, Coco.
Hi, Jane. I know I was watching like I told you, I'd watched your presentation intently, and I saw the pictures about Gibraltar. I forget now whether you had a list of other locations. Do you have any locations in Asia so far?
Sorry, Coco, which ones? Which slide?
Sorry, it's a question for Jane.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Microwave.
Okay.
Jane. No, not yet. We are working on it, but to be honest, we are more focused on more work towards European and the US market, because they work, the governments there work more on legislation, on promoting wave energy. So it's easier for us. We are looking forward to bring our technology to Asia. For example, Philippines have great potential, so many islands, great potential, but we also need the government to work with us so we can bring the technology. This is the main issue. And by the way, I wanted, after the presentation, Jay's presentation, I wanted to ask in what ways Philippines government can support, for example, wave energy coming to Philippines.
Actually, Jane, that's a good question. It's not been introduced here, but as you know, the government conducts what we call a green energy auction. So if we can push government to include that in the auction, if it's technology that is already tried and tested and reasonable in cost, which is always a big question here in the Philippines, I'm sure we can push the DOE to include an allocation for wave energy.
This would be great, because if we do this, it opens us the opportunities.
Yeah, let me know, Jane. We can talk to the DOE. I guess the big question, of course, they will have is the price. How much is that in peso per kilowatt hour? I'm not sure what's the going rate now for cost of wave energy.
It depends. For our technology, it depends on the scale. We want to build commercial scale power plants, and we expect when it's commercial scale megawatts, the cost to be around 6 cents per kilowatt hour.
Okay, that's not so bad. And 6 cents would be in what scale? 1,000 megawatts? What are we looking at?
No, 20 megawatts. It would be commercial.
Okay. Well, Jane, let's chat, because I'm sure we can push the government to consider wave energy.
Great, of course, happy to do this.
Can I come in for a minute? Sorry to jump in.
Yes,
So,
Ambassador.
yeah. So just to say, actually, we did share with the government the information about EcoWave. There was interest, but it didn't go to the next stage, I have to say. So maybe, Jay, we can try and look into it together.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ambassador. We can push for that. We just need to give them more data. Because if it is available, it's new technology, it can be included in the auction. It can be a separate technology with its own allocation. As you know, Ambassador, the Department of Energy conducted the first auction last year. And in June this year, there will be another auction. So if we can convince the government that wave energy has potential, I'm sure your stakeholders can apply for service contracts in the DOE and then bid for an allocation for that.
Yeah, put myself a note to connect with you afterwards to discuss this. Thank you.
Trisha, I think you have some volunteers there suggesting places to put wave technology, Trisha.
I know people are very interested. So we have suggestions to maybe implement it in Bataan, which is very close to the coastline. Jane, for your reference, a lot of good suggestions here that we can take up. We actually do have a question for HomeBiogas that was sent in earlier, Attorney Jay and Yair, if you want to take this. So for HomeBiogas, your product addresses several problems related to climate change. That's the waste problem, pollution, fossil fuel usage, and it's now being used globally. Using this product can also help households, as you mentioned, save energy and costs. So we just wanted to ask is approximately how much do your customers save from using your products compared to using LPG, if you have those numbers?
I don't. We have the numbers. The return of investment is mostly between between a year to 3 years. It depends if the household how much it pays for the gas. We also have, of course, as we have different sizes for the household, for farm size also. So sometimes farmers, if they use for fertilizer, then the return of investment is actually very fast because of the cost reduction of cost of chemical fertilizer. And I wanted to say that actually now that we're talking, it's in Philippines, our system addresses very well in island areas, because in island areas it's very hard actually to bring energy, to take away waste, to move things around. And we see now, let's say we're in the south, we're in Pacific Islands, in more than 20 Pacific nations, let's call it like that. And we see a very, very big success there from the governments, the local governments are very happy because this is actually a local solution that is easy to deploy. We send more than 200 systems in a container, and in 1 week, we take care of more than 200 families or even more than that. So our deployment is very ground to earth, very easy, very fast. It's, as we say, yeah, when we have government or big projects or NGOs, of course, it takes time sometimes to build the project, but in the end, the infrastructure is easy to deploy. It's very fast to deploy. It's very connected to the family, and the impact is immediate. I think in this case, this is a very important point, as we say, because we take care also not as only food waste. We take care of animal waste, pig waste. I know in many countries, let's say in islands, when you have the pig waste and animal waste that goes down to the water, to the drinking water, to the oceans, we take care of that. We transform it into the fertilizer, into the gas. If it's so this is very, very hands-on solutions. And yeah, as I said, the return of investment is mostly between a year to 3 years. Leo, you have anything else that you want to say regarding this?
No, I think you summarized it pretty well. It really depends on what is the alternative. If it's only LPG, it will take a little bit more time to to get the money back. If the typical scenario for home biogas is small scale farmers. Small scale farmers will typically grow food as well. And so they will use the fertilizer. So reducing the cost of fertilizer for them, reducing the cost of cooking energy. We see in our work in India and in Nepal, for example, that they will save $20 to $30 per month. So if they buy the system for several hundreds of dollars, it will take them a year and a half to get the money back. And then the lifespan of the system is 15 plus years. Therefore, they will enjoy after this 1 or 2 years of getting the money back. They will enjoy the system for many years to come and generate their own fertilizer and clean cooking gas, basically for free. Plus all the other social benefits of health, sanitation, women empowerment, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Also important to note that every system reduces between 6 to 9 tons of greenhouse gas emissions a year. Every toilet solution saves more than 40,000 liters of water a year. So this is a big saver and the impact on the environment. I think, and this is an important point to point.
Yeah, one of the ways that we do the projects is we're doing carbon projects, and the great thing about it, it's a carbon project that reduces the greenhouse gas emission, and therefore whoever's purchasing the carbon credits enjoys a twofold, because they reduce the carbon, they will offset their company's carbon, company or government, and it has a huge social impact at the same time. So it's a great combination. The environment is enjoying, company is enjoying, and of course the people.
Okay, thank you, Lior. Yair, we have also a lot of questions to Jane. In fact, Jane, they're already suggesting to you some places where you can consider EcoWave. From Abigail,
Looked
she
quickly
said,
on Google Maps the region, and it looks like suitable one. Yeah.
Yeah, Abigail suggesting do it in Bataan. You can Google that. Somebody mentioned also Camarines. Romulo said Surigao is a good place. Wilfredo said Dinagat. Probably you can consider that. And Angeli said Camarines Norte would be a good place. What do you think?
I think that they can be suitable, but it's important to understand that for us to implement the technology, we require some structure, some existing structure. It can be a port, it can be some marina. So usually, especially in island countries, there are a lot of such structures, but they usually have landowners. And so we need to explore this. We need to get in contact maybe with some governmental entity or someone who might own such structure. Usually it's government, but like some ports, different situations. But we are happy to check if someone here has like a exact location, exact structure, exact port. If we discuss it further, our engineers usually, when we have the wave data, we perform preliminary calculations just quickly for our engineers, and we can say like approximately how much power we can generate and to understand if this location is suitable. So if anyone wants to suggest something, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, and Jane, in the Philippines now, with the recent issuance by the Department of Justice, 100% foreign ownership is allowed for renewables, for water and wind, for solar and wind. So it's something that you can consider for your projects. Yeah. Okay. There was another question, this time from Nicole. She asked whether there are collaborative efforts between the DOE and DOST in moving forward innovations in Philippine renewables. I understand they have an existing memorandum of agreement. I've not seen the products of that agreement, but hopefully because the DOST has a lot of funding for technology and research. So hopefully the DOE can tap into that. We will check it where they are. All right. There's another question, follow up to Yair. Have you tried using, this is from Jeroboam, have you tried using the system to regenerate the soil quality of mined out areas, particularly in decommissioned mining areas?
So specifically in mined areas, we don't, but we have got a lot of success in agricultural areas that were deployed because of overusing of chemical fertilizer. Why? Because the organic fertilizer that we produce has organic matter inside of it, has micro and macronutrients, and have bacteria. All of this together brings back the life into the soil, because today everybody's talking about living soil. We turn back the organic material, we turn back the natural organic micro and macronutrients. So this is what our system actually brings in back to the soil. So I'm sure we don't have it specifically in a mining area, but I can tell you that I saw other farming areas that were totally deployed by organic material and the nutrients it needs and the microorganisms. And this, yes, the system brings back. So we will be happy to test it out with you if you wish.
Okay, thanks for that, Yair. And feel free to reach out to Yair, because obviously the interest is there. Trisha, are you going to share the emails and contact numbers of everyone here, just to be sure the audience would know?
Yes,
Yeah?
so we will be sharing the contact details of HomeBiogas and EcoWave Power for those who want to get in touch with them, or you can course your connections through us, and we'll be happy to link you to our speakers.
Okay, and I've seen Jane send her email here. I'm sure Yair can do the same thing, and their contact numbers, right? Okay, we have a follow-up question to Jane. Is EcoWave technology resilient, considering that the Philippines is prone to natural calamities like typhoons?
Yes, I showed in the presentation that our technology is equipped with a storm protection mechanism. It means that we have special sensors, and it constantly knows the weather, the wave conditions, and when the waves are too high for the system to handle, it's usually up more than 5 meters. So when there's a threat of the system that might break down because of the weather conditions, they automatically raise up above the water level, and they are locked in this position until the storm passes. It's done automatically, so it can be done manually, but usually, for example, if it's night and no engineer is observing a station, it's done automatically, so it's completely safe and protected from the storms and typhoons, from such kind of weather conditions.
Okay, all right. So certainly that gives us a lot of comfort, right? Because we do have 21 storms in a year, Jane, in the Philippines. So we want to make sure your infrastructure is resilient.
Yeah, it is resilient, and this is good that you have high waves. And when they're too high, we will handle them.
Okay. All right. There was a question from Bill Emmanuel. What's the update about the Bataan nuclear plant? It's always a nagging question, right? The only thing left in Bataan nuclear plant are the walls. So there's nothing there. If the government will decide to put up a new nuclear plant, they have to build it from scratch. But there are new technologies nowadays. It's no longer usually a power plant. In fact, you've seen a lot of floating vessels. But the government is still studying on what to do with nuclear. At the end of the day, it's always a function of whether it is cost efficient, because we are required by Philippine law in awarding a power supply agreement to conduct an auction or a bidding. So if nuclear will be cheap enough to compete with the other technologies, then there's always room for it. Subject, of course, to technology considerations and safety. All right. Let's see if we have other questions. I'm seeing a lot of suggestions to areas where both the home biogas and the eco wave should be done. No? A lot of our audience are asking both Yair and Jane to please consider their areas. No? So that's good. No? Another one from Jeroboam, go to Benguet. No? Benguet is a place in the northern part of the Philippines. No? So it's good for vegetable bio-wastes, according to him.
Jay,
All right.
if I may comment shortly.
Go ahead, Lior.
Lior. You know, these areas that, you know, potential areas and potential opportunities, they're really great. One of the reasons that we have joined today, of course, we have a great bond with Ilan and everyone else, but it's also for the exposure because we are interested in the Philippines. We think there is a great potential in many areas, as we are seeing here, and from past research and experience, and we are looking for partners. The way we can access the market without a local partner. And, you know, this is just a call out in this forum to say if any of you is interested, knows someone that can be, you know, any stakeholder in any scenario to go into the Philippines, either into a project, distribution ship, some government links, whatever that may be, to help us, you know, start something in the Philippines, we'll be very happy to hear. So, thank you. That's it. Important.
All right. Thank you, Lior, for that. All right, Trisha, I don't see any other question. Just one comment from Renante. Home biogas can be a big help, and the potential technology in the Philippines, not just for agriculture, but for sustainability of all individuals. So I guess, Trisha, Coco, back to you. We've had a lot of questions.
Right. Thank you very much, Attorney Jay, Jane, Yair, and everyone for that insightful exchange. We do have to wrap up with the open discussion now, but we don't want to leave anyone hanging. As our speakers have shared, they're very open to answering any questions that you might have. So we'll be sure to forward any unanswered questions or even new comments that you have on their presentations to our speakers so they can get back to you with a response. They've also shared their emails in the chat, so please feel free to contact them as well. You can also join our upcoming online networking session that's organized by the Israel Embassy. This will be happening on February 20, and you can continue your discussions with our speakers there. So looking forward to having you join us on the 20th too. Before we proceed, I'd actually like to invite everyone in the room for a quick photo with our speakers. If you are comfortable opening your cameras and joining the photo, please feel free to do so. We'd love to see you. I see some people opening their cameras now. Nice to see everyone through the screen, hopefully in person soon. So I will be counting to 3 a couple of times, and on 3, please flash those smiles, and my colleagues will be taking screenshots. So let's start, everyone. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, 1, 2, 3, smile. And just for fun, in true Pinoy fashion, we'd like to do a wacky photo. So on the count of 3, please strike a pose. 1, 2, 3, pose, everyone. All right, thank you so much, everyone. With that, we'd like to invite everyone actually to send us any feedback on today's session via the QR code that's being flashed on screen or the link that my colleague will be sharing in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. As you do that, we will be hearing from the Israel Embassy's Economic Counselor, Tomer Havey. Tomer and his team have proactively been working to strengthen bilateral opportunities for trade, investment, and job creation between both the Philippines and Israel. This is a beat that very well aligns with our work at MBC. So with that, I'd like to call on Tomer for brief closing remarks and to share more details on the upcoming networking session. Tomer?
Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, everyone. And again, Coco, Mr. Coco Alquaz, I would like to thank you and the board, members of Makati Business Club, and all the stakeholders that are here and help this event happening today, together with the Ambassador Ilan Flus, who initiated this one. And I would like to really congratulate you for a very successful event and discussions. You see that every time you gather technology, the right people, so you have also upcoming ideas and a very interesting discussion. So I was happy to be present here today. To our moderator, Attorney Jay, I learned a lot from your presentation. Thank you. It was very interesting to hear about the challenges that the Philippine energy market is experiencing. And of course, to our speakers, Mr. Yair Teller from HomeBiogas, turning waste into energy, and Ms. Jane Raisin of EcoWave Power, producing energy out of waves. I think that it was a good example of how Israeli technologies can come to service to meet global challenges of energy, the depleting energy resources. Also here you mentioned the Malampaya, and also generally in the world we see the spike of the prices like described by Attorney Jay. So I think that those two different routes, one on the biogas and the other ones on the waves, are represent different ideas, kind of disruptive ideas in a way that can really help to meet some of those challenges. Of course, not to solve all the problem, I guess, Jay, because at the end of the day, you still need, you're waiting for, you need to replace the 50% coal somehow, but definitely those two ideas are very good. I would like to say that the companies here that presented are on the generation, but of course also the layer of distribution, energy efficiency and saving is also very interesting and in Israel, and we also have a lot of technologies there. And I invite the stakeholders here and also the audience to express their interest and contact us if they want to hear more about that. Finally, of course, to thank the audience who stayed all along the session and was very active in the discussion. Thank you very much. And again, to share like Tricia, that February 10, 20 can be a very good opportunity for you to go higher on the discussion, the level of discussion with Jane and with the team of HomeBiogas. It's an opportunity for you to really leverage it. So I invite you to be interested, to express your interest, and also register to these meetings with the two companies. And finally, again, I would like to thank you all and wish you all a happy rest of the day. And maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tomer. That wraps up today's discussion. Thank you everyone for joining us. Huge thanks to Ambassador Cruz and his team, Attorney Jay, Yair, Dior, and Jane, of course. A really great discussion today. We'd also like to thank everyone tuning in via Facebook live stream. MBC would like to invite everyone here to join the third and final session of the Philippine-Israel Tech and Innovation Series. This is happening in February 16, and it will tackle transportation and urban mobility. So hope to see you there. More details to follow. With that, thank you all very much and hope to see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Jane,
very much.
Jane,
Thanks a
everyone,
lot.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So much. Love from Namok Academy.
Thank you.
Attendance lang attendar. Yang. Let us know your thoughts. 1 minute survey.
Are we meeting here, Tricia?
Yes, we can stay on.